Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird, the pinnacle of Cold War aviation. On May 1, 1965, an American aircraft designated YF-12A took to the skies and shattered 4 world records, 1 for sustained altitude and 3 for speed, including a remarkable Mach of 2,070 miles per hour. This achievement, celebrated in Washington, echoed across the world and left a significant impact in Moscow. Yet, after this record-breaking flight, the YF-12A, like its sibling aircraft, the SR-71 Blackbird, receded into the shadows of secrecy. The Blackbird family, with its unparalleled speed and altitude capabilities, represented a leap in aviation technology so advanced that it seemed almost unreal. This is the story of the Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird, the aircraft that became a legend in its own time. Origins of the Blackbird, a response to Cold War tensions. The development of the SR-71 Blackbird began during a period of escalating tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union. In the early 1950s, the US needed a new kind of aircraft, one that could gather intelligence deep within Soviet territory without the risk of being shot down. Existing aircraft simply did not have the necessary range, speed, or altitude capabilities to carry out such missions safely. In response, Lockheed's Skunk works, led by the legendary aeronautical engineer Clarence Johnson, proposed a radical new aircraft. The design, which eventually became the SR-71, was driven by the need to outrun any threat it might encounter. The Blackbird was designed to fly at altitudes above 80,000 feet and at speeds exceeding Mach 3, making it virtually untouchable by any Soviet interceptor or surface-to-air missile of the time. On July 29, 1955, the first prototype of the SR-71's predecessor, the U-2, arrived at the secret Groom Lake test site. Despite its high-altitude capabilities, the U-2 was eventually compromised when Soviet missile technology advanced enough to shoot it down. The downing of a U-2 over the Soviet Union in 1960 confirmed the need for an even faster and higher-flying aircraft, which led to the development of the A-12, the direct predecessor of the SR-71. Engineering the impossible, crafting the SR-71. Designing the SR-71 was an engineering challenge like no other. Everything about the aircraft had to be invented or adapted from scratch. The Blackbird's ability to sustain speeds above Mach 3 required materials that could withstand extreme temperatures, up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit in some areas of the aircraft. Lockheed engineers settled on titanium, a material that was lightweight yet capable of withstanding the heat generated at such high speeds. However, working with titanium presented its own set of challenges, as it was notoriously difficult to machine and required new tools and processes to fabricate. The SR-71's airframe was a marvel of aerodynamic design, featuring a blended body and delta wing that minimized radar cross-section and maximized lift. The engines, Pratt & Whitney J58s, were positioned midway along the wings in nacelles with unique intake systems to manage airflow at supersonic speeds. These engines were capable of producing over 32,000 pounds of thrust each, allowing the Blackbird to cruise comfortably at speeds above Mach 3. Another critical innovation was the aircraft's fuel system. The SR-71 used a specially formulated fuel, JP7, which was designed to withstand the high temperatures generated during flight. Remarkably, the SR-71's fuel tanks were intentionally designed to leak on the ground. The aircraft's skin would expand at high speeds, sealing the tanks and preventing leaks once the Blackbird was in flight. The SR-71 in operation, a secret weapon of the Cold War. The SR-71 entered service in January 1966 with the 9th Strategic Reconnaissance Wing at Beale Air Force Base in California. Over the next 2 decades, it flew countless reconnaissance missions over some of the most hostile regions on Earth, including the Soviet Union, North Vietnam, and the Middle East. Despite its size and complexity, The Blackbird quickly earned a reputation as one of the most reliable aircraft in the US Air Force inventory. Pilots who flew the SR-71 were an elite group, selected for their skills and temperament. Flying at speeds over 2,000 miles per hour and at altitudes where the curvature of the Earth was visible, SR-71 pilots experienced a unique form of aerial combat. Unlike fighter pilots, who engage in dogfights, Blackbird pilots relied on speed and altitude to avoid threats. The aircraft's incredible speed allowed it to outrun any missile fired at it, and its altitude kept it out of reach of enemy interceptors. The SR-71's primary mission was intelligence gathering, and its sensor suite was unmatched. The Blackbird could cover over 100,000 square miles of territory per hour, using a combination of optical and radar sensors to capture detailed images of enemy installations, troop movements, and missile sites. This intelligence was invaluable to the US during the Cold War, providing real-time data on Soviet capabilities and intentions. One of the most famous SR-71 missions took place on September 1st, 1974, when an SR-71 flew from New York to London in just 1 hour, 54 minutes, and 56.4 seconds, setting a world speed record that still stands today. The aircraft's ability to cover such vast distances in such a short time made it a critical asset for strategic reconnaissance, allowing the US to monitor events around the world with unprecedented speed and accuracy. Challenges and legacy of the Blackbird. Despite its many successes, the SR-71 was not without its challenges. The aircraft was expensive to operate, with a reported annual cost of $400 million by the late 1980s. Additionally, maintaining the Blackbird required a dedicated team of engineers and technicians who had to deal with the unique demands of the aircraft's titanium structure and complex systems. In 1990, the US government decided to retire the SR-71, citing the high cost of operation and the advent of satellite reconnaissance as more cost-effective alternatives. The last official SR-71 flight took place on March 6, 1990, when the aircraft flew from California to Washington, D.C. in 68 minutes and 17 seconds, another record-breaking performance that highlighted the Blackbird's unmatched capabilities. However, the legacy of the SR-71 extends far beyond its operational lifespan. The aircraft remains a symbol of American ingenuity and technological prowess, and it continues to inspire awe and admiration among aviation enthusiasts and professionals alike. The SR-71's influence can be seen in subsequent aircraft designs, and its impact on the field of reconnaissance and intelligence gathering is still felt today. The unmatched legacy of the SR-71. The SR-71 Blackbird stands as a testament to what can be achieved when the limits of technology and human ingenuity are pushed to their extremes. It was a product of its time, born out of the intense pressures of the Cold War, but it transcended its era to become an icon of aviation history. The Blackbird's ability to fly higher and faster than any other aircraft of its time made it a formidable tool in the US arsenal, providing invaluable intelligence that helped shape the course of history. Its sleek, futuristic design and record-breaking performances captivated the public and secured its place as one of the greatest aircraft ever built. Even today, more than 50 years after its first flight, the SR-71 remains unparalleled in many respects. No other aircraft has matched its combination of speed, altitude, and endurance. As a result, the Blackbird continues to hold a unique place in the annals of aviation history, a reminder of an era when the sky was not the limit, but merely the beginning.